Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are unpacking a truly mind-bending philosophical thought experiment. We're looking at a fascinating piece by author Zhu Feng called Chasing the Sun and Escaping the Night. Now, on the surface, you might think, okay, this sounds like a literal puzzle about aviation, time zones, maybe an impossible cure for jet lag. But as we peel back the layers here, you'll see it's actually a really profound allegory about human existence, the choices we make every single day, and how we navigate the inevitable challenges life throws at us.
Section 1. The 24-hour morning. Okay, let's dive right in by putting ourselves directly in the cockpit of a hypothetical, insanely fast jet plane. The author outlines this incredible, non-stop itinerary starting on a Wednesday, specifically August 19th. Imagine we take off from Beijing, flying straight west to Mumbai. When we land, the local time is exactly 6 a.m. We don't even pause to grab a coffee. We just immediately take off again, flying west across the Indian Ocean to Harare, Zimbabwe. The local time when we touch down? Somehow, still exactly 6 a.m. We keep pushing, crossing the Atlantic to land in New York City, and yep, it's still 6 a.m. Finally, we fly that last massive leg back to Beijing, arriving on August 20th. But the local time there is, once again, exactly 6 a.m.
So, by constantly flying west at the exact speed the Earth is rotating east, we've managed to fly continuously for exactly 24 hours. But think about what that means for your actual lived experience on that plane. Because of our speed and trajectory, we have lived entirely in the morning daylight. Not a single second of afternoon heat, evening twilight, or midnight darkness has touched this plane. By intentionally choosing to outpace the Earth's rotation, we essentially froze time at dawn for an entire day.
Section 2. Where did night go? So, we've experienced a full 24-hour cycle on Earth, but our reality was purely morning light. And this is where the author asks us to ponder a riddle. Where exactly did the 24 hours of night go? This right here is the aha moment where the text completely pivots. It shifts from a fun aviation puzzle into a much deeper spiritual philosophy. The realization is that night isn't some universal blanket that just falls over the entire cosmos. It's a localized event. The night certainly didn't cease to exist. It was happening everywhere else behind and ahead of us. But for the passengers on that specific plane, because of their constant forward momentum, the night was completely avoided. According to the text, this literal flight reveals a much deeper metaphorical truth. The author puts it like this: as long as we chase the light, we can escape the darkness. The logic here is super fascinating when you apply it to real life. In this philosophy, darkness, or misfortune, isn't this inevitable force that just randomly strikes you. It's actually something that only catches up to you if you stop moving. By actively staying in motion toward the light, you inherently outpace the shadows. You don't actually have to fight the darkness, you literally just have to outrun it.
Section 3. Chasing light, escaping darkness. The author poses a direct comparison here to show the real-world consequences of this idea. On one side, we have the active pursuit of virtues, things like sincerity, kindness, beauty, and love. The text argues that actively seeking these things out keeps life smooth and bright, exactly like keeping that jet plane flying west keeps you safely in the daylight. But then, we have the alternative. If you fail to actively pursue these positive virtues, misfortune naturally catches up to you. It's the exact same thing as stopping that westbound plane. The literal second you pull the throttle back and stop flying, the night inevitably overtakes you.
You can think of this almost like a universal law of spiritual physics according to the text. Every action has a direct, equal reaction, and you simply cannot occupy two spaces at once. The author explains that you can't be stagnant. Moving toward truth inherently is the very act of escaping falsity. Pursuing beauty is what allows you to escape ugliness. Pursuing happiness ensures you're free from misery. The pursuit itself is what creates the barrier against the negative forces of life. You aren't just running away from the bad stuff, you are actively moving toward the good, and that forward momentum is your absolute shield. To make sure we really grasp this, the text brings this esoteric idea down to earth with some rapid-fire everyday scenarios, showing the butterfly effect of our choices. Think about it. Consciously choosing a single life inherently means you bypass marital or family conflicts. Dedicating your free time to learning from philosophers or saints means you physically aren't out on the streets committing crimes. But the most striking example the author gives is a sudden delay. Imagine you take a sick patient to the hospital, which causes you to miss a scheduled boat trip. Later, you find out that exact ship sank. Your active choice to do something positive unintentionally shielded you from disaster. You were moving toward the light and the darkness completely missed you.
Section 4. Reaching the Elysium world.
Now, this continuous flight toward the light doesn't just go on forever without a destination.
The text introduces a concept known as the Celestial Islands continent of the Elysium world. The author suggests that just as you can physically escape the night by flying west, you can spiritually escape the mortal world entirely by making this heavenly realm your ultimate destination. This isn't pitched as just a temporary vacation from the darkness. It's presented as achieving permanent escape velocity, a state of existence where the struggles and the nighttime of the mortal world simply have nothing to do with you anymore.
Within this specific source material, we learn about the people who are actively trying to pilot this metaphorical plane. They are called the Chanyuan Celestials, who are practitioners of Lifechanyuan. You can think of them as the passengers who intentionally booked this specific westbound flight. According to the text, these individuals are actively applying this philosophy by going all out to pursue sincerity, kindness, and revering what the text calls the greatest creator, all in a unified effort to reach the highest realms of life and maintain that permanent daylight.
And this brings us to a pretty stark concluding contrast. On one side, the text describes those who remain stationary, people suffering in the dark, punished by nature, and falling into abysses simply because they allowed the night to catch them. They just stopped moving. But on the other side, those who constantly fly toward the light, the Chanyuan Celestials in this text, safely reach a land of idyllic beauty. They consciously avoid misery not by getting into a fight with it, but simply by maintaining their relentless momentum toward the good. As we wrap up this explainer, the author leaves us with this final rallying cry: chase the light and escape the darkness. Whether you view this through a literal, philosophical, or spiritual lens, the text challenges us to examine our own momentum. And it leaves us with a really powerful question to reflect on. In your own life, what does your westbound plane look like? And honestly, are you flying fast enough to outpace your own night?